Do you want to know what one of the most frustrating things for me was before I started making music for TV, film, um, games, and all of that stuff? It was sitting down, working on music, creating music, and nothing ever happening with that music. This happened mostly with just working with artists and things like that. It was always a moment where we would put in hours and hours and hours of work on a song, and either the song just never got released because the artist for whatever reason didn't want to release it or changed their mind or whatever, or I don't know, it just nothing ever happened. Like I have a lot of music that it's just sitting there collecting quote unquote digital dust. That was frustrating for me because I'm the type of person, and you may be the same, where I just don't like wasting time. I don't like spending time on something for nothing. Like, if I'm going to sit here and spend time on something, I want it to be worth that time, because time is something that is infinitely more valuable than money, because you can't get it back. Once you spend it, it's gone. If you spend $10, you can go find $10 again. That $10 will come back eventually. Time doesn't work the same. So I don't like wasting it. And I wasted a lot of it um, during my earlier years before I figured out how to create passive income and create active income with my music through music licensing, sync placements, sync licensing, whatever you want to call it. And that was like the game changer for me, because now it felt like when I sit down to work on music, I know it now has a purpose. Number one, I'm creating something on purpose. I'm not just sitting down to just create something and then it just sits on the hard drive. I'm creating for a purpose. I know that I have connections and publishers I can send this music to. I know I'm creating music that they actually need, which increases the chances of it actually getting placed. And then when that music gets placed, you end up earning sometimes upfront sync fees. Sometimes a publisher will just pay you to create an album for them. And then, of course, what everybody loves about, you know, music being on TV and commercials and things like that is the royalties. Um, it generates royalties. And I think if you're a producer with a full-time job, your time is already limited. So you definitely don't have time to waste. You don't have time to waste. So if you only have let's say a couple hours left in your day, 2 to 3 hours. Let's say 2 to 3 hours left in your day after work, and you want to do something that has the highest chance of generating income, passive income for you as a producer. I believe, of course, because sync is my favorite thing, but I believe sync licensing is one of the best ways to move the needle for your career as a producer and creating passive income, because this is what's dope about what we do as producers, right? Um, let's take real estate for example. If you're a real estate investor, in order for you to create passive income through real estate, you have to first acquire a property. Now there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can, get a a distressed property and do some renovations to increase the value of that property, and then, in turn, rent it out. Or you can find a property that's already ready to go. You don't have to put any crazy amount of extra work in there, and then rent it out. It's going to cost you more. And it'll probably take you longer to, um, pull your money out of that, or, make a return on your investment. But you have to like go out and do some work first, acquire the property. You got to have some money to be able to get the property. Like, ain't nobody about to just give you a joint for free unless you inherited it from some family members or whatever. But, you have to you got to have some bread up front, basically, to start creating some passive income in real estate, or know how to leverage other people's money in real estate, which, again, you still have to acquire and learn that skill. With music, as a producer, we are able to, instead of having to find money or go find properties, we can create these little micro pieces of properties, I like to call music, from our brain, and put it in a DAW, Logic Pro, because that's the best DAW ever. No cap. You put it in the DAW, you create it, and boom, you have a piece of music that now you can license out, aka rent out, and create passive income for the rest of your life. That is super powerful as a producer, because what's stopping you from making as many of these little properties as possible? Nothing. Yourself, if anything, right? So if I only have a little bit of time in the day after coming home from work, don't have the most energy, then I'm going to sit down, I'm going to create something from scratch. I already have my gear and stuff, so it's not like I have to put up any more upfront money to create this. I just sit in the studio, create it, and boom, I have something that I can now push out, and it gets placed, and I start to generate royalties. And then now, while I'm at work doing whatever I got to do to pay the bills, now I'm able, my music is now in a position to work for me. So while I'm at work, music is out there circling around the world, working for me. And if I continue to repeat those steps, rinse and repeat, over time, I've built a large catalog of music that works for me and that generates passive income without me having to do any extra additional work. Once I create the track and I send it to the publisher, that's it. I spent that time doing it, and that's it. But there's no cap on royalties, right? As long as that thing is in rotation, it's on a TV show, brands are licensing it, I continue to see income from that for years, man. I remember some of my earlier placements on Keeping Up with the Kardashians on E. I still see royalties from that show. This was I think they got a new kind of show now. This was one of their original Keeping Up with the Kardashians on E, which ran for a bunch of seasons. I had music in, I forget which season, but to this day, I still see royalties from that, because that show airs not only in the U.S., but all over the world. So all those kind of circle back around, and they get paid out through my PRO in the form of royalty. So if I had to choose one thing to focus on, if I had limited time as a producer, and I want to turn my beats into passive income, or my songs into passive income while I work full time, it's gonna be sync licensing, 100%. Most producers, I feel like they struggle to find the time to monetize their music, because when you don't have a lot of time, it's just you don't have time to learn a bunch of marketing, you don't have time to do a ton of research and trying to find artists all the time, and artists that actually want to pay, because that's the thing. So it's just it's frustrating, because you have the talent, you have dope music, but you're like not seeing the results that you deserve. Like your music deserves to be heard and you deserve to get paid for it. So you just got to figure out like what that thing is going to be that's going to help you get paid for that. But like every day you delay to take action, you're just leaving money on the table. You're leaving royalties on the table. Like those extra 2 hours at the end of the day that you just sit there and think about, oh man, like really want to do something with my music, but you're not actually doing anything. Like your beats stay unheard. You're missing out on collecting royalties. Like there's people probably less talented than you who are just taking action and they're creating passive income with their music. So the longer you wait, the harder it is to build momentum, and your dream of making music for a living is going to feel further out of reach. So you don't want to wait. Like, just start as soon as possible. And like, imperfect action is better than no action at all. Like, do something. Like, you don't have to have this whole sync licensing thing figured out all the way before you start. Again, analysis paralysis. Avoid that. Like, just start. Like, if the first step is downloading my free sync producer quick start guide, the link is in the description. If that's your first step, do that. And then you'll get the rest of the steps in the guide. If your first step is joining Sync Producer Hub, which is my community where I teach producers how to produce, prepare, and pitch, place, and ready music for TV. Like, do that. That's just the first step. You don't have to have it all figured out. And then once you're inside Sync Producer Hub, I'm going to immediately give you access to my Road to 10 Placements course, which shows you step by step exactly what I did to get my first TV placement. Like, just one step at a time. And then from there, you start to learn how to structure the music. You start to learn how to find reputable companies and what that looks like. You start to learn how to reach out and what to say to those companies. Then you start to learn the different ways to get paid. Like, it's just taking it one step at a time. So, with a proven strategy, you can absolutely turn your beats, your music into passive income, even if you have a full-time job. And that's what I show you how to do inside Sync Producer Hub. And even on this channel, because I know what that frustration feels like when you have good music, but you just can't quite figure out, like, how can I actually make money with this? And I think that's what a lot of producers want to do. We just want to figure out how we can make money with our music, so we can continue to make more music and have more time to make more music and do what we love. All right, so that's it. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.